I think I started recording. Yeah. No, it's just that I started to well, I was sick for a little while. Got I'm like really close to like feeling better right now, and like I was like really like getting into the word, like trying to of course I spend a lot of time in the Book of Revelation, and really trying to understand maybe things that were hidden from me, or maybe things that I didn't consider before, stuff like that. And like one thing that I'm like really, I probably want some guidance from you too, man. But this guy from it's a channel called Kingdom in Context. I don't know if you ever heard of that before.
No.
So he reads a lot of the books like Enoch and Jasher and those types of books too, and he and the King James version of the Bible, and I've seen uh, Dave Rockia in there a lot in the chat sometimes, and so I was like, oh, okay, seems like it's okay, and he started talking about like hell and eternal conscious torment, and he's got it. He has a lot of scripture and a very detailed explanation of you know what hell is, like he thinks it is out of what he's reading in context, and he's pretty confident about it, and it's like so perfect and so humane, like I don't know, it just increased my my faith by a lot, right? But like also I don't want to get caught up in something that's not real either, and so I maybe I don't know if you'd want to take a look at he did like this podcast about last Wednesday, so it's like fairly recent, but I thought it was very, very well done. He talked about the lake of fire. He um, talked about Abraham's bosom. He talked about torments. He talked about um, Sheol. He talked about all kinds of different terminology and everything.
Okay.
And yeah, it was pretty phenomenal. What do you think of that?
Well, I didn't watch the video, so I don't know.
No, but I mean, like, what do you think of that type of like thought direction? Think that's a
Well, it's
safe?
interesting. I mean, that's all in the Bible.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird how like when you add different books, you can the context. It's not different, but it's more complete. But it scares me at the same time because you could get a lot of things to sound the way you want it to sound. You know, because
Right.
I never really thought about hell that much. And when I read the book, when I read the Bible, it's like there are definitely things that are very clear as to what it is. And it's like I just never gave it a lot of thought because I was always looking at it from the aspect of somebody that's already saved. Like like maybe I should have learned more about it or been more concerned with it, but I was more concerned with like, okay, well, salvation is the most important thing and getting other people saved, that I just never really got into it. And maybe I should.
Right.
And so I don't know, but I thought he was pretty good. But there's really just nobody that I trust, Tom. Uh, like not that I don't trust that guy, but like there's no one person that I could go to and say, oh yeah, this guy or this lady, well, or whatever has all the answers. It,
No, 'cause
it,
I don't
it
think anybody does.
you
And
know,
like I think like Sheol and hell and the bottom, they're all different places, or different levels. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And without doing a study on them and looking up what the words mean in the original language, I can't really go any further than that. But
yeah,
from what I remember, they are like different levels or different places of hell.
yeah. Well, just the idea that just the idea that there is no hell, right? This is what I'm not saying he's saying that, but he's saying there's no eternal conscious torment for human beings.
Who
It's
is
it's
who is saying that?
it's an I forget what the guy's name is, but the podcast is called Kingdom in Context, and like his like total stance is that um after we receive whatever punishment you know we get if we're not saved, whatever punishment you receive, where you go, then it's like you get totally annihilated, done, like you don't exist anymore,
Could be.
and
I
so
mean, I've never really seen that. I know
I
that
never
other guy
focused
we've
on
had on here believes that too.
yeah, I know that's what yeah. That's what makes me apprehensive about it, because I've never heard of this before, and like, why am I going in this thought direction now? Is this just another stumbling block because I'm always open to everything and want to entertain every idea, you know? But
But again, could it be a lie we've been taught? You
it
know,
could be,
I mean,
you
I'd
know.
have to look into that a little bit uh,
Well,
more heavily.
this guy's very good about what he's saying, and he's like very sure. I would say this guy seems confident. He seems genuine, and he's very smart. But I can say that about a lot of people they're twisted, man. You know, I can say that about a lot of people. So it's very it's very tough to know nowadays. But then again, it's like with this ball Earth stuff and with this evolution, it's like we're finding out now that we weren't taught everything the right way from almost any institution in America, you know?
Right,
And it's like, well, maybe the churches are the same. Maybe those churches are like the Flat Earth Society, right? They're like controlled opposition, you know? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they are. Like, you walk into a church and you have your denomination or whatever you walk in, and and that it's real. It's about Jesus, but it's always something in there to throw you off a little bit, or they have their own doctrine or they have their own focus, and it's just what bothers me is that we can't get too many people. I just want to get like a solid group of people that can agree on what it is,
right.
and
I mean, that's why God gave you a Bible to read and study. I mean,
yeah,
if you let everybody else do our studying for us, I mean, this is the mess we get into. We believe something someone else tells us, and we don't even look at it. I mean,
yeah,
I've been harping on it forever. I mean, you got to read the Bible. You got to study it. I mean,
that's
read
it,
Scripture. That's what it's there for. The
yeah,
answers are there, but just go and watch every other person out there with a YouTube video.
yeah,
We're
it's
gonna
not helping.
no.
Well,
I mean, take what they give you and then go study it and see if it's true. I mean, that's.
well, the thing that bothers me, Tom, right? Like, is it like, so when I first met you, like, I probably read Revelation maybe 20 times, 25 times, something like that. And there was things in it that you were telling me that I had no idea about, And I'm like, I've read this thing so many times and I'm missing stuff, right? And I know I got problems, but like, I mean, I should have it by now, what's going on in there. But like at the same time, it's such a hard book to understand. And I've maybe listened to it
Right,
3 or 4 more times and read it another time since I've known you. And it's like not that I'm confused about anything. I got the main stuff down, like the timeline and everything like that, and when everyone, if there's a pre-trib or a mid-trib rapture, I have both timelines in my head how that is supposed to work.
right.
But
No, I agree. I mean, there's some complicated stuff in there.
and I just want more out of it. You know what I mean? I want to know everything.
Right.
I wish God could have a YouTube channel. You know, and then like we could just watch that stuff all day. I just want him to tell me what to do.
Right. Yeah, but if we listen to him, I think he will.
He will. I gotta be patient. You know.
Because I mean, all the
There's
answers are in there. I mean,
it is, and it's simple too. And it's probably me that's making it more complicated.
well, just the more we want to understand is what makes it complicated. I mean, getting the basics down is fairly easy, but then really getting to understand so much more of it, it's hard. It really is. There's a lot of information in that book.
I think it's like maybe the Bible's not designed to know in a like a uh intellectual way, in that type of way. Maybe it's only meant to be known in a spiritual way. Like maybe the parables aren't aren't to be studied in an academic type way. Maybe they're just a way to have you be a participant in what's going on. You know,
No,
maybe
I mean,
it's
I,
just
I
that.
think it's there for us to understand and know stuff, but I think it also things get revealed in its due time as well too.
Yeah,
You know,
there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the world today, man.
yeah.
There's
You
a
said you had a bunch of stuff you want to talk about today.
Yeah, like I don't know how much I want to cover because it's like some of it is about like just within our own group, man. I'm like wondering, like, man, some weird, funky stuff, man. Is I don't know how much I want to really open up. I'll probably talk to you offline, which is that's not very fair to the listeners. I should come out with everything, right? But there's some funny stuff happening where I think that like it's possible in this world that like we're not all the same, and I've been getting uh indications that, and maybe it's like there's families that are involved in some kind of occultic thing, and they tell their kids, you know lie to them and say, oh, there's no hope for you, there's no choice for you, or whatever. And it could be something simple as that, right? but like but sometimes I'll be talking to somebody and get the sense that uh that they grew up in a very different way than me, and have different things to think about than I do. Am I being too vague right now? Does that make sense to you?
No, it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
And I wonder, like how many people, like, can everyone be saved? Does everyone equally could be saved? Or because how God says some people are created just for their day of trouble,
Right.
and then when God talks about the wheat and the tares, is a wheat and a tare two separate things? That like the wheat can never become a tare and the tare can never become a wheat? Or is that like, you're a tare if you're not doing the right thing and you need to be a wheat? Is that something interchangeable, or is that two separate things?
I think it's two
And
separate things. I mean, once you're saved, you're saved.
right, right, right. But I'm saying, can you become? No, I'm saying, like, could a tare become a wheat?
Well, weren't you a terror at one time?
Well, see, that's what I don't understand about the parable. Is it like, does the wheat represent people that are saved, or does the wheat represent the people that can be saved?
Did you have it in front of you to read it? That parable?
Uh, I could look up real quick if you could fill up the dead space, dead time, I guess.
Probably could delete it.
Parable, parable of the wheat, uh, wheat and tares. Okay. I should type in KJV on that. Because for some reason now, when I type in just like say I type in parable of the wheat and the tares, then like it'll come up, but it'll have NIV will be the default Bible that they go to, and I don't like that at all.
What Bible?
The NIV, it'll go straight to the
Right.
NIV. Yeah, and I don't even really like reading the New King James.
I
Like
don't either.
I just I preferred the 1611 King James, but I've been reading out of this one for so long, it's so natural to me. Okay,
Which one is that? What do you read out of?
the King James version, just the
Mm,
regular King James
yeah,
version. But there's also the King James version 1611, which is like,
right.
original, like the Bible that um Martin Luther Martin Luther came up with the Geneva Bible, and then King James came out with that version so that people would read that version and not the Geneva Bible, because the Geneva Bible had notes of like what the elites were doing, and so King James didn't want to be found out by his people what his stuff was, so he made a more perfect version in English of that of the Bible, and so that's like a good confirmation of why we could trust it.
Right.
So this is what it says here. It says another parable. Oh, this is in Matthew 13:24 through 30. And it says, another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened to a man which sowed good seeds in the field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. So while the man slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not sow good seed in thy field? From whence the hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. And so, what makes me think in this different thought direction is that he was only planting wheat, and then the enemy came in and sowed tares with it. But instead of pulling them out right then, he didn't want to risk losing any of the wheat. So they're gonna wait until the harvest, which, if you know how wheat grows, it like once the fruit is on the wheat, once the wheat actually grows onto the plant, it like hunches over because it's heavy. It's top heavy,
Right.
and the tares are easy to get up because they're the ones that are still sticking up. And they're easy to pull the tares out first.
And that's, pretty much how the world is. I mean, you have people that know the truth. Someone comes along, usually because of greed or lust, plants that bad seed in them, and they fall, you know, and
Yeah,
pretend to be, I mean, real, and they're not. It's fake Christians, fake people, liars and deceivers. And we're
yeah,
all living together in this world like that. In the end, God's going to separate us, Christians from non-Christian, believer from non-believer. I mean, you know how many people go to church are just fake churchgoers. They go there just to get their hour and a half in on Sunday, right?
yeah.
Outside of work, you'd never know that they were a Christian because they're not.
And see, I don't think that they're even fools. I think that they know what they're doing. I think they know that they're have no intention because
Because
God,
they truly
because
never
right,
accepted Christ as their Savior. You know what I mean? And lived for Him.
because God knows your heart. Like you,
Exactly.
let's say you're going to one of these phony churches, but you are honestly seeking God, and you just have the wrong stuff going, but you're honestly really seeking God. I know God will know your heart in that situation. So I always used to think that, like, hey, people are being fooled. I need to alert everybody. that they're being fooled, then I do. I do owe people the truth if I could, if they want to hear it from me, and not if I can do it, you know. But but maybe the people that are not saved that are going to these churches are not really fooled at all. Maybe they just don't have a heart for God, or don't really believe it, or just, you know what I mean, or are just there to network, or you know.
No,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, it's all fake. And you just go there because that's how they were raised. You go to church on Sunday, then you just go about the rest of your week after that. I mean, that's pretty much how the systems become. It's just repetition, we're a habit. They don't do it
yeah,
because you want to learn God's will. It's no different than the Pharisees and Sadducees, right?
right.
You
Yeah,
know, just wanting to be seen like they were something when they were nothing but evildoers.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what it is.
And see, that's why it's easy for me to be able to tell, like a lot of people were like debating whether or not, like, oh, is this Kanye West? Is he for real? You know, this Jesus is King album came out and everything. And you know, if you look at it, right, you know, of course, you know, he's playing it off like he's a baby Christian, which he would be if he was saved, right? But like he'll go on and say stuff like, you know, the the greatest God of all time is hooking up with the greatest entertainer of all time. You know, like he would never say something like that. You know what I mean? If he
And
was
I've
really
never really
trying to
listened to
say,
any of that stuff, so I'm not really up to date. I've heard it a little bit, but I never paid no attention to it.
but like a lot of people will say, like, because I'm of the opinion, right? And it's an opinion, right? It's not. I'm not a judge of anybody's character or salvation, right? But like I'm of the opinion that anybody with a large platform like that has got to be like on the other side, because if they were honestly a good person, right? A good, even if they weren't even a Christian, just a good person, right? They would expose some of the stuff that's going on out there. They would lend their platform to people trying to get the truth out. You know,
Right.
there's nowhere for us to go to talk about flat Earth that's true, 100% true, or at the very least, right, to the regular person, right, it should be compelling, right? Like some compelling points, right? There's not even a local news station, a local newspaper, nowhere we can go to get the truth out, making me think that that whole level is blocking any kind of truth. So how low does that is that the enemy? Is that the enemy's people? Are those regular people that sold out? You know, like what I want to know, what's the deal with that? You know, like how much work can I do, and how far do I need to go to be able to help other people and to keep myself safe to help as many people as possible? You know, like
I mean, but you got to figure these people truly believe that though, that it's a ball, just like you
no,
did
no,
for
no,
40 years of your life. I mean,
no, no. But
that's
what
the
I'm
one thing
saying,
we can't get away from is we believed the same thing not that long ago,
yeah,
wholeheartedly.
but not what I'm saying is there's no platform for us to even discuss it. You see what I'm saying? There's no local news station we can go to and say, "Hey, I want to talk about flat Earth." They always present us as like goofy, you know, it's a hit piece usually. They never have our scientists or our people that do real measurements, or guys like Bev that do, like, geometry, or anyone like QE or anyone like Nathan on. They'll never do that, right?
Well,
And
who
I'm
controls
not
the
saying that
media?
I'm not saying that because they believe in the ball they're lost. I'm saying there's no platform for us to even bring the truth to, any kind of truth. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but who owns the media?
That's what I'm saying. So where does the level start? Where, like, okay, they're part of that now. They're separate. They're different than me. I can't help them, or I can help them. That's what I want to know. Where's the limit for what I could do to help?
Well, why does there have to be? Why does there have to be a limit? All I can do is keep telling the truth. Either people listen to it or they don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just think it's disappointing that, because like
oh, I
when
know it is.
I first found out about flat Earth, I was so excited. I was like, I came in just at the time where it was like, wow, slam dunk. We made some big um moves, or whatever, and then it was like pretty clear that it was flat. Like you can say that, okay, I know it now, right? We were at that level just as I was coming into it. And now it's like they have nothing. They have no argument that can. I mean, it's almost laughable that we're just playing with them now. And it's like why can't, like, I know why, and I know that there's no media platform that will help us, right? Because they own everything, right? But I mean, it's just sad that, like, I used to think, well, let's run to these people and tell them, let's run to these people and tell them, or try to get this celebrity or that celebrity, but they're all unified into not letting us get in or crack it.
Well, who rules this world right now?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the
you know what I'm
devil.
saying? It's Satan.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if we expect anything other than this, I mean, that we're just deceiving ourselves. I mean, Revelations has to be fulfilled, and it's going to be. This stuff
yep,
has to happen,
yeah,
right? I mean, if everything was just good, Revelations wouldn't need to be in the Bible,
that's right. And
So, I
see,
mean,
go ahead.
I'm just saying, I guess we're fortunate, or for some unfortunate, to be living in this time. I mean, we're watching it
I think it's
unfold
good.
daily.
I think it's good in a way that we get a lot of confirmation, that, like, there's confirmation every day that God is real. And I love that, because like something will happen every day that I could show somebody, look, it's real, and it's not hard to prove. I mean, you can never fully prove God, but you can almost prove God at
I
this
don't know how
point.
you can't. I don't know how anyone can't see or prove God if you're a
Right,
Christian.
that's what I'm saying. Right,
Yeah,
right. You know,
there's absolutely nothing you can look at and not say it's God.
right,
Or even if they want
right.
to use the term a creator or a designer, some
Yeah,
superior being. There's absolutely no way. There's no way unless you just want to be just ignorant.
that's right.
Period. You know.
That's that's right. But that's helpful to us because there is that much confirmation. And if somebody's reasonable and will sit down, right? So if I can get somebody to sit down with me and say, okay, listen, we're gonna go over flat Earth, we're gonna go over, all the satanic symbolism in Hollywood, and the people doing the one eye symbolism and all this other crap, right? And we're gonna go over fake history. We're gonna go over, just a lot of stuff, right? Hoaxes in the. I mean, so much fake stuff is happening on the news that it can't be a real reality where we're animals that formed and we're just a species or whatever. Like this is obviously a written out narrative that is happening. You know, that it's so fake. Everything's so fake on the news that it can't be possible for regular people in reality to all be in on it. It has to. This has to be a already written out story that's happening, and our free will is probably smaller than we really think it is. you know you,
Let me
you,
ask you
you,
this: growing up at all, or any time in your
yeah.
adult life, did you ever get, like, I don't want to use the word addicted, but to where you faithfully watch any certain news programs every night?
Like, I was very, very addicted to documentaries about history and stuff.
But I'm talking
And
about news.
like 2020, I watched a little bit, and I'm trying to think back then.
Well,
Um,
anyways, I mean, when a person grows up,
yeah,
like in some, and all of a sudden you get, I don't know how to say it. All of a sudden you're a Fox News guy or a CNN guy or whatever. You
right, 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 right.
religiously watch those shows night after night. You don't miss them, okay? And you believe everything they tell you. But then once you see the truth, and that no matter which one you're watching, it's a bunch of lies. it's a whole different ballgame. But you have to realize what they're saying is BS. But for
All of it
decades,
on
you're
both
being
sides.
brainwashed night after night after night. I mean, you just don't wake up the next day and realize it's a bunch of bull.
Yeah,
I mean, it's tough to come out of that.
very tough. Because you have to take some leaps. You have to accept some things before it's actually proven. You're like, okay, that's fishy enough to where I'm gonna jump on the other side now, and then eventually you prove it to yourself that you
And
were
it's
right to make
slowly,
that jump.
yes,
You know,
yes. And I
but
mean, because then a whole bunch of, every day you'll come up with a whole new line of questioning that you got to go research.
right.
But no one wants to take the time.
No, but that's what I get frustrated about with my family. I'm like, look, I'm willing to put the time in to do it, and and you trust me as a person, and you think that I'm an honest person. I'm not a fool. I'm not stupid. I don't get deceived easily. I'm spiritually on the right path. Like, shouldn't that be enough, right, for me to be able to say, hey, look, you don't have to do the research and work. Just trust me. This is what's happening. And then if you
Right,
accept it, if let's say you accept it on face value and believe me right now that what I'm saying is true, then you will see it for yourself because you'll see it happening. Because you'll already believe it and you'll see it when it's going on, you know?
right,
But they won't
right.
do that. They won't trust us. And I wonder, like, how are they being programmed, to fight it? Like, what is, because I was watching this one a program about, like, when kids are watching TV, certain programs, their eyes will blink in sync with the other kids, like every 8 seconds, every 12 seconds, or depending on what they're watching, their eye blinking is in sync. Like, there's something going on that's programming their little brains.
Right, right.
And I mean, that should be horrifically scary to people,
But it was done
and
to them, so they don't know any better.
right. But then what? But once they're aware of it, right? Shouldn't you
Well, what do you
want
mean by aware? Being aware of something or believing something is two different things, right?
to? Okay,
People
so
are
so
aware of 5G, but that don't mean they believe it's going to kill you. Other
right,
people believe
right,
it's
right.
going to kill you. So, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a bad thought direction because I think that the end will come before that'll kill you. No, but I'm saying, like, if I went to, like, a buddy of mine, and he has kids, and my kids are now just grown, right? And then I made the mistake of letting my kids watch television or whatever, just like everyone else. There's
yep,
nothing, there's no nothing evil about that. Everyone does it, right? But and I've done it, right? And so, but, like, let's say I go up to my buddy and I say, hey, look, there's this study, right? um, that shows that, like, you get 4 or 5 kids watching TV, their eyes will all blink and sync, and they'll, depending on what they're watching, it'll be every 8 seconds or every 12 seconds or whatever, like in a choreographed motion, right? Indicating that something is going on, right? Shouldn't that person at the very least say, "Oh, I'm interested in learning more about that"? Shouldn't that be the reaction? You know?
well, I don't know. I mean,
It's tough
I
to
don't know why
say,
you think you can. I mean, you got this thing there. You think you can control people what to believe when just because you say something to them.
no. I mean,
I
I'm saying,
mean,
uh,
we'd like to
to
think
look
that, but
into
that's
it.
just not reality, man.
No, but, like, I'm not saying to believe it. I'm saying, if I were to bring it up, should it be enough for them to say, "Hey, maybe I should look into that"?
And then he'll go look at another study where they tell you why that's just the opposite of what you believe,
Yeah,
and
and
he'll
that's
say,
on
"There you
him.
go."
Yeah, and that's on him.
Well,
But
it's on him anyways once you say it. Anytime we say something to somebody doesn't mean I mean they're gonna believe it just because we said it. You know, I
I
mean,
think we're saying two different things. I'm not saying that they should believe it. I'm just saying, like, it should be. If I said, "Hey, there's all this proof that the Earth is flat or whatever, blah blah blah," like, shouldn't that be compelling enough to at least look into it?
I don't know. You think it'd be compelling enough people look into just to believe that there's a God, but they
Right.
don't. I
Yeah.
mean that's more obvious than anything else in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, we expect people to be a certain way. I mean, they're not. Like I say, this
And
whole
it's not about me wanting to control them. It's about me wanting to save them. But all it does is put people off, turn them away.
yeah, I know, I
So
get
it's
that.
so
I
I'm
guess it
like,
ain't something I'm gonna stress out over because I know just there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is plant the seed. It's up to
and see, I'm finally at that point, Tom, where I could just say, "Hey, look, I've done everything I can, and I'm just relaxed." But I used to feel like if I don't keep going, it means I don't care about that person. I used to think if I give up on that, that means I don't care, and I couldn't live with myself. So it was hard for me to even live with myself, knowing that if I give up, it means that they're doomed. You
I
know?
mean, you're not giving up. I mean, but just to keep hounding somebody makes
Yeah,
it
it's not
makes them even
helping.
turn away. Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
It
that's where
makes it
you
worse.
plant the seed
Makes
and
it
pray. I mean, it's all you can do.
all you can do.
Nothing's everything else is beyond our control.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it is.
Wish there
I
was a
mean, we're
guidebook.
we're like 4,500 years in past the flood already. I mean, there's a lot of sin in this world, a lot of deceit. I mean, hardcore deceit.
They're really talking about doing some crazy stuff, Tom. This
Dude, you
this
just think
one,
about the people that got PhD after PhD honestly believe that nothing exploded and created everything. I
yeah,
mean, think
they do.
about that. And you think you can just go tell someone Earth is flat and they're gonna believe it? I mean,
I mean,
think about that. Nothing exploded, nothing, and created everything. And
yeah,
3/4 of the world at minimum believe that. I mean,
more than that, probably more than
nothing surprises me.
it's. Yeah, there's even Christians that believe that and
Yes.
are Christian, and
Yep.
that is crazy to me.
Yep.
Like I used to believe the Earth was round, but like but like I always believed that God created it. But I mean, when I became a Christian, not my whole life.
Right.
Because when I was in school, I believed that evolution was real, and so when somebody first told me, "Hey, Christians think the Earth is 6,000 years old," I thought that was absurd. Like, oh no, I mean, we learned when I was in fifth grade that it's 4 billion or whatever, 14 billion years old. That's ridiculous.
Well, they
But
teach you that the starlight you see, that star's been dead for billions of years, and you're just now seeing the light. I
right,
mean,
right,
how would you measure that?
right. How do you know? You know. Well, and they want to tell you that each star is a different distance away, but they all go in sync in a circle. So that would mean that like one would have to be going way faster and one would
Yeah.
have to be going way slower just for it all to work, to go all to appear to go in the same speed. The farther stars have to be going very fast, and the and the stars
And,
closer have to be going slower.
and they stay in sync throughout time, and yet nothing exploded and created that.
That's so dumb, man.
It's dumb. Yeah. I mean, just the dumber the lie, the easier people believe it. It's freaking insane.
But sometimes I think that there are people that they know better, but they still are evil enough that they want you to believe that bald lie. It's like they get I don't know if I'd say get off on it, but like they get some kind of satisfaction out of it. Like,
Sure.
oh, I want them to believe, even though I don't believe it. I want them to believe it.
Right.
And
No, I
because
know.
that's what makes them special is their knowledge about this fantasy world. You know. And
Right.
see, that's the thing. Like, if I, because they like to do this thing with like, well, if you can only see one face of the moon from these three different locations on Earth, then it shows you that the moon is very, very far away, and it's orbiting the Earth. It's a proof that the Earth is. They'll say something like that. But if I came up to them and said, "Oh, no, 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 there's a geometric moon, and then there's the apparent moon, and then there's the astronomical moon. So there's really three moons, right?" If I came up to them and said that, they would say I was being ridiculous, right? But that's what they do with this horizon crap, you know? I'm
Right.
like, "Look, the horizon proves flat." Oh, no, no, that's because there's a geometric horizon, a real horizon, an apparent horizon, an
Right.
astronomical horizon, you know? And you're
Right.
like, "What are you talking about?" But they would never let me get away with saying, "Oh, no, that's because there's like 4 different moons, man. We've measured them. We've measured
Right.
them. We know how far they are, you know?"
Right.
And it's equally as absurd, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And and the thing when you get in these debates with these ballers, right? It's like like let's say we're talking about gas pressure, right? Um, we say, well, you can't have gas pressure without a container. Well, before ever solving that problem, right? Because that alone debunks the Earth of flying in space in a vacuum, right? That alone debunks it because we'd have no air to breathe, right? But they don't even solve that problem, and they want to move on to what what the horizon's doing. Like,
Right.
why? Like, let's work on this that isn't fixed yet. You know what I mean? And then we'll move on to horizons, and then you'll fix that. But they don't ever completely fix it. Their model is broken in so many ways that they don't even have proof of one function working, let
Right.
alone the whole thing. They can't
It-
prove an orbit. They can't prove gas pressure. They can't prove the core, but they'll move on to the next thing.
Right. Indoctrination.
It's insane. It's insane. But yeah, I have some ideas and things that I do want to talk about that maybe we should talk about and see how we could present them on the show.
Sure. Sure.
Because I don't want to do something that's like too much crazy speculation, but I'm learning some things about people that it's freaking me out, bro.
Yeah. Maybe after
All right,
Armands or sometime today we can chat about it a little bit.
all right, man. I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Peace out, bro.
Oh yeah, you too. Good show.